Yo, well, welcome back, guys. I appreciate it as always. We have some OGs in the room. So, once upon a time, you've heard these guys on the podcast before, over a couple of years ago now, which is crazy. We've had this show for a long time, technically. Just need to make more episodes.
Yep, true.
We got Darth Balls and Viewing.
Oh, hey there. What's up, guys?
Hey, that's my thing, man.
No, I stole it from you. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, hey there.
Oh, hey there.
Oh, that's whose voice it is.
Yep.
Got him.
What is it in the
Couldn't tell.
soundboard? Hold on.
Sure is.
Should still be, yeah.
I am the soundboard. You ready? That was me.
I think I recorded that for us and put it in
You
there.
did.
Yeah, you did.
Once upon a
Yep.
time. Yeah. Many, many moons ago, my friend.
Yeah, it's been a while. We've unfortunately been playing these fucking games for a long time.
Fortunately or unfortunately, yeah.
I mean, are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
Oh, I definitely am. Holy shit. I mean, not right
I
now,
can't
not
escape
while
this. I
we're
hate it.
recording this, but just a while ago, I was doing Mara boosting, so
Ooh,
the grind continues.
The topic is fresh in your mind then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Today's
He is
topic
primed and ready.
is boosting. From Mage, Mara to Blizzard selling level 58 boosts. Boosting happens all the time. But does skipping the grind make the game better or hollow it out? So I want to unpack boosting, how it reshapes WoW's economy, the player base, the social fabric, and see if there's anything else left we could talk about it around it, because there's a lot of different kinds of boosts. We're not just limiting this discussion to player boosts where it's like a mage boosting somebody, but also like Blizzard boosts, because those exist too. And they're right around the corner for TPC. So before we jump into it, like I said, Viewing is a longtime buddy of mine. We've been playing together since 2019. Darth Ball's here. We've also been playing together since 2019, on and off. We always get to see an expansion together and then hang out and do our own thing. And then Holy, as always, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Who's this holy guy?
An OG.
But so Viewing, give us the lowdown on boosting. What is boosting?
Yeah, so basically, well, there's a couple different ways to do it, but the one that I know most about is mage boosting. So basically, you just pay a max level mage, level 60 in this case, for anniversary as an example. You pay a high level 60 mage to run the dungeon basically for you. Go and kill almost every single mob in the dungeon, and then rinse and repeat. And depending on which dungeon it is, they can finish it in well under an hour, so then you have a little bit of a break in between your 5 boosts. So you can run 5 dungeons in an hour, and I remember the good old days when they used to cap it to 30 a day. But fortunately, in Anniversary and SOD, that is not the case. In SOD, it's a little bit different. It's no longer mages necessarily, it's more tanks. So you have the Naxxramas invasions that just constantly hyper spawn a bunch of skeletons that you just go and kill over and over and over until you basically run out of durability, and then at least for me, I have to go and repair. I boost in SOD as a guardian druid, as a bear tank, and it's a lot of fun. You're basically running with a bunch of thorns or damage shield type of gear, and you just kind of swipe, and eventually everything dies.
Boosting in SOD specifically became kind of crazy because of them making the incursions hyperspawn. That became pretty wild, and we can talk about more of it later. But so let's start with classic boosting. The whole reason it became a thing is you have what I was watching Darth Balls do here today on his Twitch stream. Was he was in ZG with his mage, just leveling himself, right? He's grouping up a bunch of mobs.
ZF run, yes.
Or not ZG, but the ZF run.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's you're grouping up a bunch of mobs, just leveling yourself, but then somebody had the bright idea of what if I could group up a lot more mobs and bring people in here with me? And just it's just a natural occurrence. But why? What's the why do people go after this? I mean, what's the root cause of people wanting boosts?
Darth, do you want to answer that, or do you want me to start?
Well, I mean, I think it's mostly for people who have been playing the game forever, especially classic era. I mean, we did it back in 2004, and then we had classic drop in 2019, right? So it's, do we want to level again, or do you want to hightail it to the end content where most people are enjoying their time, right? They want to do the raids, they want to get there as fast as possible and get the loot.
Yeah, I agree. To
I mean-
expand upon that, not only did we have multiple releases of Classic now officially, but you got to think about the people that played for years and years of like private servers. You know, like I'm kind of curious
True.
how many people have done this like a dozen times or more, and that's just include or not including like alts and stuff. That's literally just like a fresh server, whether it's, you know, classic era, anniversary, you know, like mop, whatever, or you know, like a new private server, like when it gets wiped. I'm kind of curious how many people have done that at least once on like a main character. You know, then obviously then you add all the alts. Like for me in Classic back in 2019, 2020, I actually leveled, I think, every class other than Shaman because we were Alliance at the time, all the way to 60. But I did that by, I think I leveled 2 or 3 characters, like the normal way, you know, doing like a little bit of dungeon grinding, questing and stuff. But after that, I had a mage and I basically just used that character to boost a bunch of my other alts.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I love how you said the normal way. The
Well,
normal
I
way
mean-
now is to get boosted, sir.
Well, that's true. Yeah, but I think
Feels like
I think to expand upon that as well is like I think most of us enjoy leveling like the first time on a fresh server. You know, like when everybody starts at level 1 and you're kind of grinding through, you see, you know, like the world is alive and people are out doing stuff, questing, maybe doing a little bit of dungeon grinding, whatever. But after that point, especially when you're on like your second, third, fifth alt, like, yeah, nobody wants to be doing like quests. At least in my, there's probably plenty of people that love the journey, but let's be honest, most people, yeah, just like you said earlier, just want to get to level 60. So then they can enjoy world PvP, they can enjoy battlegrounds, they can do raiding. Like that's, a lot of people think that like anniversary or classic, it really starts at 60, which is kind of a shame because, you know, you would hope that the journey, people would want to level up like the normal way, doing quests, you know, getting some of that lore or whatnot. But it just seems like most people just want to hit 60 so they can actually play the game.
Yeah, if I rewind the clock back to when I first started playing WoW, I started as a Paladin because one of my buddies, real life friend that got me into the game, was like, oh, because I've never played WoW before, I don't know anything, no context, no in game context of like in classic ret Paladins are terrible in raid and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
It's like I was just leveling slowly. Took forever to get to 60, which was fine. Because I was a Paladin because I could heal, I could DPS, and I could like tank stuff. That's what he told me. And I was like, that sounds good. I can do all the things, you know? And by the time I got through that, I mean, leveling a second character was exhausting.
Almost like a chore.
Yeah, like even so like I ended up like, because what I wanted was I had my first account and then I just opened up another account and I started leveling a mage because I wanted to be able to, I just wanted to be able to port myself, you know, I just wanted to be able to do that. And immediately I like put the mage on follow and I'm using my Paladin, level 60 Paladin with like some gear to just do quests, just to grind through quests. Because technically, like if I just go quest solo on the mage, I'll actually get like technically more XP. But because the Paladin felt more powerful, like doing these low level quests, that was really easy. It was more fun, you know, it was more fun to level because it felt faster, although it probably wasn't faster.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's weird because like it's like a natural transition where it's like I carried myself all the way to level 40 because I actually ended up like stopping at level 40 for a while, and then because I can make, you know, ports and stuff, the big boy port, and before you know it, it's like I want level 60 characters, and you know you find a way to get them there even faster because the classic grind is quite boring. It's not fast. It's slow as shit. So, and even in
worst part of
SOD, yeah, I mean, it's like even in SOD, it was, like even with the experience boosts, like where you're leveling 200% faster, still felt slow.
Yeah, it was still bad, and that's kind of where like my experience with boosting came in was in SOD. If you have a paladin and you want to boost and get some alts leveled up quickly, like all you really need is a second account, and you're only limited by however many shields that you own. So you could have unlimited characters with little to no effort. Because even if you're not very good at boosting, you can boost a second character yourself if you have a pretty well geared paladin, from 0 to 60 into probably, what'd you guys say? It's probably about 12 hours conservatively, like if you're not very good at it or optimal.
Yeah.
But you could do it even faster. Like I've
probably-
seen people do it in like 4 to 6 hours, 0 to
Yeah.
60. Like it's crazy how fast the sod leveling is.
But that kind of brings me back to we've figured out ways to get faster and faster. But I remember a time in Classic where like boosting as a service and viewing, you can talk about a little bit about this, where like you were boosting in ZG and how like the boosting culture hated you because you were doing it obviously for gold, but you weren't doing it as a job.
They hated me specifically because I was undercutting them by quite a bit.
Discounts.
Well, I mean, let's just be clear cut and honest. Like a lot of these boosters are people that do this for a living.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And one way or another, they're making money off this. We know it's against terms of service, but I'm not an idiot. Like, let's just be honest with ourselves. They're selling these things.
Oh, 100%.
They're making lots of gold, and then they're in turn selling that gold.
Yeah, the booster cartel is very real, and they're not a group to take, lightly.
I've heard they've gotten really, really, really bad on anniversary. Like so far as like you even like try to undercut them by like 3, 4, 5 gold, and if you keep it up, like you'll start getting whispers, kind of like what happened to me back in Classic era, except for they actually have a network of like 100+ people that will actually report you, and you get like a 2-week suspension. Just because you were instead of selling 5 runs at 40 gold or 45 gold for like SM, you're like, oh, I'll just charge 35 or 40, and they're like, no, we don't do that here.
Yeah,
but
they will let you play as long as you play by their rules and their pricing structures. The same go for the summoning networks, and that's something I can speak to, but that's a whole different episode. Stories of this the summoning bot cartels and
But yeah, that's
let
our editor know that the summoning cartels.
Tell the editor.
No, I mean, I still remember like in Maraudon boosting, and there's like a crazier story with us viewing and boosting in Maraudon, but we're like before Blizzard blocked some of the APIs within add-ons to use things like FME.
Yep.
We're like boosting became so AFK. There's like an add-on called FME, and like if you typed FME in the chat and everybody had that add-on installed, you would automatically follow the person who typed it. Boosters used to actually kick people if you didn't have FME. Like they would type it before they'd start, and if you didn't start auto following, they'd be like, "Nope, you're gone." They wouldn't even add. They just you. Yeah. And everybody knew that I had that add-on installed for other reasons on my character, and I'd like be in the middle of raid and people would type it.
It was fun.
Joke, and I would start my character would like from tank into automatic just turn around and run at somebody. Like, what are you doing?
Well, and the few times that you brought to help us with like your healer as well, it's so funny to type FME and both your characters start running. You wouldn't even notice on the healer because you're more focused on your trying to tank, and you're like, wait a minute, what? It was so funny.
I'm gonna be straight up. I mean, like if FME still worked as like a raid leader, I'd want like every player in our raid to have FME installed, so I could be like, all right, I'm going to lead us through this dungeon. FME, and don't even touch your keyboard.
You can't just instantly train you gold too. It's crazy.
Yeah, you can't.
That's what weak cores are for.
You can't ass pull in Molten Core if everybody's on follow.
Yeah, Alan.
True. What?
Blinking in the Ragnaros?
No, I would not do that.
I don't understand why people can't just like stay close. It's weird. But there was a time when in Classic where we got a little sweaty towards the end, and like we had, world buffs were another topic for discussion. Let our editor know world buffs. That, we were using boons and stuff. We needed to like reset Ani a bunch, and we didn't have those characters, so Viewing went out of his way to like level a mage on the horde side, and we boosted priests, 2 priests on the horde side through his mage to just reset Ani, just to have a priest that can reset, getting griefed along the way. Stuff like that.
Yeah, well, it worked out because I ended up boosting a rogue at the same time. Like with you two, with your priests, I leveled a mage, or I boosted a rogue as well. So it ended up working out pretty good. So we had 4 level 60s that could kind of run around, do whatever. But resetting.
And that's why boosting is awesome.
Yep.
I mean, it's weird. It's like Blizzard has taken a lot of steps to like, block boosting. I mean, just go ahead and just give us like the lowdown on like what they've done to stop us from doing it. And I don't really understand in some cases.
They already fixed SM too, kind of
daily instance caps.
Yeah, so back in 2019, or I think it was like early 2020 when they introduced this. Like I said, you could run 5 dungeons in an hour before you get like quote unquote locked until that hour was up. But what they introduced later on was to try to fight the botting issue is they now made it in a 24-hour period, they locked you to 30 dungeons. So while you're boosting like Maraudon, a typical Maraudon run, assuming that you're decent, will take anywhere between maybe like 14 minutes on the low end to probably about 20. So trying to hit that on Maraudon is almost impossible unless you're just grinding for, like 12 hours straight, which I definitely hit a couple times. But if you're doing like stock A's runs, I mean, you finish 5 runs in 25, 30 minutes. So in 6 hours, so basically you get locked after 6 hours of boosting. You'd hit the 30, and it basically did nothing because we talked about earlier before we got on the podcast. Like you just have a bunch of botters that would have multiple accounts. Oh, I hit my 6 hour limit or my 30 dungeon run limit. Yep, I'm just going to get on the second account and start from scratch. So I didn't really do anything.
So I said bots boosting bots. I mean,
and the thing that was worse though is it was also account bound. By the way, so if you got on an alt. Like you were locked, like that alt was locked. Now it didn't affect rating, which is like thank God, but it affected basically playing the game. After 6 hours, like I said, if you hit your 30 dungeons, you basically couldn't do anything. You just had to be out in the open world.
Yeah, and I really wonder if there's like actual statistics behind that. It's like the thing is like botting, right? Bots don't care. They just don't care. The whole like when Blizzard, got rid of multi-boxing, software boxing. They didn't get rid of you being able to have multiple accounts and play them all at the same time. They got rid of you being able to play them efficiently. Mm-hmm. And it was like the whole thing was like to stop botting. And I'm like, I mean, bots were already. You're never going to stop botting because they don't care. And it's the same thing for like the boosting stuff. It's like you locked this one account to 30 instances. Great, but they have 1 million accounts. Like you're never gonna stop them.
The biggest thing is that
lazy by Blizzard, just lazy. Go ahead.
No, it's not even laziness because, like, in practice and reality, Blizzard understands that it'd be a huge waste of time and resources for them to effectively combat the botting, and they're more than happy to take in the revenue. So the reason why, like, you can't really actually get rid of the botting problem without a total systemic overhaul and get rid of the systems like auction houses, free trade between players, stuff like that, like the underlying systems that facilitate botting and the transfer of, gold, between hands and other services. So the actual reason why botting, will continue and perpetually exist is because they have, unfettered access to server space in countries like Russia that have lower regulations, for stuff like this, because it is quite literally hacking, and it is illegal in most countries. That's why you never see botnets hosted out of the United States. The other reason for that is all these accounts is like, these accounts, they cost $15 a month. It must cost these botters like insane amounts of money when they have to restart. No, because they use VPNs to buy cheaper monthly subscriptions from countries that have cheaper prices. And they know how to effectively get around like the region locks to do so. And then the third thing is it effectively costs them zero money because they buy these accounts with stolen credit card information. So that's why it's able to just perpetually come back. Like the amount of investment on their end to set up these accounts and run these bot farms is considerably less of what the actual commercial US price would be. Like if I were to set up 100 accounts, that'd be thousands of dollars, for all those subscriptions, but it costs, them a fraction of the price. So that's why they just always keep coming back. And Blizzard's happy to take their money. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Well, and even if they, let's say they were buying it at the full, $15 price, it really wouldn't take them that long to make up that $15. You know what I mean? So basically, like Blizzard would have to crack down on them before it's profitable, because even if they made like $10 or something and then that account got banned, they're like, ooh, that's $10. I had to do nothing. They just get another subscription and make another $10, $20, $50, because they're, like you said, they have like 100 plus accounts. So that money adds up real quick. If you're only making like $10 per account, it just adds up like instantly.
Yeah. And speaking of this stuff, it's like some of the things, like what are some of the steps that just note them all down? Like in Classic, when we went to early SOD, like what steps did Blizzard take to mitigate boosting?
Banning GDKPs was one thing they tried. You said limiting boosting. Is that what the question was? I'm sorry. Sorry, I misheard the question.
Yeah, so similar to like SOM, they basically made it where in SOD the mobs in dungeons can't be slowed after a certain amount of time. It's I think around like 30 seconds they become unCCable, or like you can't slow them. So most of these, every one of these polls take longer than 30 seconds. I mean, theoretically, I guess you could probably do stockades just because you're doing smaller AoE polls. Like, I'm sure there were ways around it somewhat, or like if you were botting, I'm sure you could just like fly hack and it wouldn't matter because you just fly hack while you're casting and then get a couple ticks off and then hit the ground, they turn around, that kind of thing. But for like a normal person like me, they made it where they just became unCCable.
Yeah, just to make it crystal clear, no one in this call right now has ever done anything like fly hacking or anything like that. We're not that type of booster. So
this is a random note. Speaking of fly hacking, there was a time when a lot of bots were running stockades and just running stockades, killing everything, looting everything, and just making gold on repeat. You could whisper those bots invite, and they would invite you to their group in stockades, and people would just go into stockades and sit and just get free boosts. So like that happened. That was a real thing. Like people would like mass whisper these players in stock. There's tons of mages fly hacking. They would fly hack through the instance, pull all the mobs. They can't be touched, but the mobs don't reset because they're fly hacking. There's no evading. So that kind of breaks that system. Yeah, they're getting free boosts. But it's like, because I was watching you today, Darth, doing Zul'Farrak, and I was like, in my head, I was like, he's gonna throw down a blizzard, and all these mobs are not gonna slow because they got rid of that, but they slowed because it's classic. But I just think it's wild. Like speaking of what you said, viewing, you can't slow these mobs with blizzard or whatever. But we just figured out a different way to do it. It didn't matter. It didn't matter at all. It was like a wasted effort on Blizzard's part, where it's like instead of you could still do the run on a mage. It was a little slower, but still pretty quick because we had other abilities like the flame stuff, the firebomb thing. But then like at the same time, like a shadow priest could do this pull and Zul'Farrak now because of Mindseer, and you didn't need the mobs to be slowed. It's just wild. I just think it's like, why? Like, why take these steps to get rid of like fun ways to play the game? I don't understand.
So, viewing could probably chime in on this a little bit more. After how many years they fixed, quote unquote, fixed SM boosting Cathedral? So where we used to go as the mage. Yeah, go ahead, View.
Yeah, so I recently have been leveling my alt and a couple other people along the way, helping the boys out. And I went into SM Cathedral, and I went to my normal spot by the fountain when you first go into the courtyard. And I learned that they, for some reason, decided to fix the pathing on the mobs there. So they no longer, they now come at you directly instead of following the little fountain path at the edge and then going around by the stairs and then coming back at you. You used to be able to just do like a sidestep, left, right, while you're blizzarding them down. And I think that it was even still the case in SOD because we had like hunters people there.
Yeah,
but for some reason in Anniversary, I don't know if they just got lucky and they changed a little bit of code and that just got quote unquote fixed. But yeah, now you have to go somewhere else in Cathedral in order to do the boost.
Exactly, though. But exactly what Althos was saying. We still found another way to do it.
I mean, yeah,
they fix nothing. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Before, we could do like incursion boosting in SOD, which is wild. Like my Paladin was like a Jesus booster in Scarlet Monastery. I could just pull everything; it didn't matter. Like there's no.
That was a lot of fun.
It's like as long as I could run through fast. And what's crazy, I'll tell you right now, is people don't really need to do it. But I was talking to Holy one day. It's like because you can get an Ashbringer pretty easily now if you have tons of gold. Because it's like 12,000 gold to make an Ashbringer.
Or a credit card. I mean,
yeah.
We don't talk about that here. No.
Yeah, people definitely farm that, but
totally.
you can put on Ashbringer and all the mobs are friendly. So you can go into Armory, walk to the end without having to like jump through and like skip mobs and just put on Ashbringer and then take it off at the end and then pull the whole instance back.
See, I'm a SOD noob. I don't know what's going on, but that sounds wild, and I want to do it. Yeah,
because Ashbringer is like a very easy item to get. It's like a quest item that drops at a Scarlet Enclave, and like a lot of people have Ashbringer. Like every warrior has Ashbringer, every paladin has Ashbringer, and they're all over the place. And I was like, oh, you could totally just put on Ashbringer, walk to the back of Scarlet Armory, especially, and just like pull the boss. Take the weapon off. You become unfriendly, pull the boss, and then run back.
Yeah, but then you don't have the weapon.
I know, but yeah, Ashbringer's pretty wild.
So if you take it off and then put it back on, like after they're all like aggro to you, instantly they'll run away, or
we would have to test
become friendly again.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that.
I don't know about that, but like, but you could just because the mobs are friendly if you have an Ashbringer. So like when you have to in Armory, you'd have to like path your way through the mobs if you want to do like a bigger pull or like find a spot to start. You can just put Ashbringer on and just walk by them. They'll leave you alone. So and then just take the weapon off, and all of a sudden they're unfriendly. That was a fun thing. No, I liked doing boosts on my Paladin like early on, and even in Classic, in like let's say like Dead Mines, and people would always be
"Oh man,
it's not as efficient as Stockades, yada yada." I was like, I don't really care, like because it's cooler in here, like it looks nicer. Stockades is like mind-numbing boring. It looks terrible, and Dead Mines boosts were kind of fun because early on, Darth, you were there for this. We were doing crazy pulls in Dead Mines at like level 25.
That was probably one of the most fun memories I've had in Classic, to be quite honest. That was a lot of fun, man. There's something about, the Mage is one thing as a booster, but I think Paladin's way cool. There's something about hundreds of mobs just like all stacked on top of you and just smacking you, and you're just deleting them. It's great.
Yeah, you can't do that as a mage. You get deleted.
No.
Like if you had a bunch of level 10 non-elites, you're still gonna die. As a mage.
I remember way back in Classic when I had left for a while, and I ended up AoE grinding my Paladin all the way to 60. That is very cool. If no one has ever done that before, a lot of fun. But it just goes to show you that there's other classes that can do it, maybe not as efficiently. I do believe a Paladin, I could be crazy on this one viewing, that I've heard that they're able to boost ZG as well. Or am I crazy on that one?
No, they are.
It has been done.
You can. It's just way more RNGesus. You're talking about just Classic in particular?
Yeah, era. Yeah, just Classic. Yeah, vanilla.
Yeah, you can, but you're relying on Noggin Fogger to proc when you need it to. Because you don't have a natural slow fall like a Mage does.
Cool. But you say Hunter, Holy?
Hunter has a ZG farm.
No way.
It's very fast. It's about 8 minutes per run, and from 50 to 60, it's about like 0.9 of a level per run. It's incredibly fast.
What? From 50?
Yeah.
I've never heard of this.
Because you can go into ZG at level 50.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And a Hunter, it's let's just call it a 10-minute run, and it's about 1 level per run in SOD. rather. It's in
and
Sod.
Sod. Okay.
And,
I thought it was
yeah.
scary. I was like, this is in classic like era. I was like, holy.
There's versions of it that work in Era, but it's more of a solo. You can bring people to power level them, but it's more of a bijou farm.
Yeah.
So it's a gold farm. But yeah, you get all like the non-elites, like the alligators and all the other stuff, and there's a specific route that you do, and then you basically fence kite them, jumping on the rope bridge, and resetting them from the top to the bottom, and you have your DPS windows. But yeah, it's kind of one of those like high skill play type things, but very profitable and good experience too. But definitely easier to do in Sod, but I know that it exists in some form in Classic as well.
Okay. Yeah, I've only ever heard of the Mage doing it from like the Mage can do from level, was it 58 to 60, I think, view in CG?
That's the safe, just because you don't want because you have to worry about Blizzard heartbeats, and when they're orange to you or higher, you have an even higher chance to go through heartbeats and resist, and then it's just
Yeah.
I'm sure you can do it
the other day.
I'm sure you can do it at 56, 57, but it's, in my opinion, just worth it to wait until 58. Because nothing's worse as a booster, nothing's worse than getting to the kill phase. You spent, like 10, if you're Maraudon, like 12, 13 minutes getting kill phase, and then you die before you get any kills. Oh, it's the worst.
I mean, and
happens.
Speaking of Maraudon, I mean, like when they tried to like nerf that stuff too, some of the Maraudon boosts were really impressive because people were doing it not just for like typical gamers. They're trying to challenge themselves, right? Like you had people that were pulling Princess into their boosts.
Which is wild.
And that's ultimately one of the really sad parts of it too. It's like people aren't only doing this for profitability and to try to skip and play the game in a faster way. Some people are just trying to do it as an expression of their skill, And that's kind of unfortunately why Blizzard does crack down on those things.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was, for me, like the only reason why I started boosting because I just thought it was super interesting. Didn't really have too much else to do on the Mage. I was kind of done with the rating on the Mage, and then I was like, oh, cool. I think it was wasn't Fallacy there viewing that kind of got us into the whole
he was the first
stuff.
one
I think he was the instigator.
Yeah.
I think we all took a crack
at a lot of fun, man.
Zul'Farrak. Like everybody wanted to learn that pull. Like it was like a challenge. Like
the thing is, even if you're not boosting people in ZF, which it's not really worth to try to get people back there, but you're just trying to learn it yourself. If you can figure it out, like just from vendoring stuff from the mobs, you can make around 50 to 60 gold an hour. Which
I would say if you're hitting the five lockout in the hour, we're looking at 50 to 60 RNG. You might be able to make more if you get something pretty. Yeah, like if you grab like a purple or maybe a decent blue, depending on the market, you can make some good gold for sure.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I know you did that as your main moneymaker for a while, yeah?
There was yes, because it's just so mindless. Like once you've done it, and how many times we've done it, it's just like, it's kind of like put some music on, turn your brain off, and just go for it, right? Even if you do it for like a couple hours, that's 200 gold. You know what I mean? And at one point, like I said, depending on the market, there was a point where Mage Weave was just like insanely expensive, where we were selling it for like 5-6G, like a stack, when normally it would only be like a 2G max or something like that, right? So
and you're getting 2+.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for someone like us who can just go in there and we can get like a stack 2-3 in a run. Hell yeah, very lucrative, man. It was good. Yeah. So it just it was something cool to do, something fun, especially during the time where we were rating semi-hardcore-ish back in Era. And consumables were a lot of money. It's a lot of gold,
including the 50 gold to respec everything.
So and stuff just kept skyrocketing in price. So it almost forces you to want to boost. Do I want to sit there and play for 2, 3, 4 days just to have enough gold to buy my consumes and stuff for raid? No, I'm gonna go boost Maraudon for like a couple hours, and then I'm good to go for the week. You know what I mean?
But
just makes sense.
If you're pretty good, you could just do it for 2-3 hours, and you might be able to
absolutely
be good for a month.
I mean, and that was even me like selling it on a discount price. It was just it was simple.
Yeah, but so overall, I mean, we could go into like boosting as a theology or something forever. Like why we do it. And for us, I think it was just like something else to do in the game when we're kind of bored. It's kind of fun, something mindless you can do. And that's another thing. Like we play a lot of WoW, so it's like instead of playing something else, you just find yourself in ZF making gold.
You find different ways to entertain yourself. Yes.
Yeah, but so all right. So we've covered player boosting. This is us figuring out how to do it end game. Whether Blizzard likes it or not, and has tried to stop us, it didn't matter. We figured out a way to do it anyways. But here's the thing. This is what I don't like. Blizzard tries to stop players from doing this shit, and maybe it's because of money thing. But Blizzard sells boosts. Like they openly sell player character boosts. Not always in Classic, but we've seen TBC level 58 boosts. It was like $70 at the time. We're gonna see it again when TBC comes out, and there's even Cataclysm boosts. What was it? Level 85 boosts they're selling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just max level boost.
How much for this?
$60.
$60. That's American freedom dollars. I don't even want to look what it is for me. 80 some.
If you compare that to if you were to go to third party site to what a character costs, that's really not in a good state. Like $60 is a steal. And but yeah, I don't want to get too much into that.
Yeah, it
I'm
almost
not gonna
kills
lie.
boost.
I've bought my fair share of boosts from Blizzard back in the day.
Yeah,
I just did buy one, so
exactly. Yeah. No shame.
They tend to give one boost per expansion, right? Like when you buy an expansion, or is that not
maybe
retail?
Yeah.
In retail? Yeah, in retail.
Well, I mean, they do it a lot. I mean, even in Classic expansion. So like in the TBC boost, it was not just level 58. They also gave you like a mount and like a armor pack and stuff. And everybody spit at people on that mount or something at the time.
Oh, yeah. You could tell someone bought a character just by their armor. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I did buy that boost because it was like on another account. And number two, which is really gonna suck. I'm gonna be knocking on Viewing's door at some point when they actually release Paladins for Horde on Nightslayer. I'm gonna be. You can't buy. Apparently, you can't buy that character to level 58. You have to, because originally, you couldn't boost shamans or paladins. And Viewing went out of his way and boosted our shamans at the time on Alliance.
That's right. That's why. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So well, they gave us 2 weeks. I hope they give us more this time around for anniversary.
For the pre-patch.
The pre-patch, yeah. The one thing that's nice, so circling all the way back to 15, 20 minutes ago on one of your questions about how did they nerf, I was going to bring this up as well. They nerfed boosting in TBC pre-patch, or I guess TBC, where they gave Blizzard now has an AoE cap.
Mm-hmm. I meant to bring that up earlier. Yeah, but guess what?
But the way around it is basically instead of doing max rank Blizzard, you now do max rank Flame Strike, because similar to Consecrate, any AoE that's on the ground will actually do has no AoE cap. So you're now doing rank 1 Blizzard and max rank Flame Strike, and that's basically how we got around that as mages in TBC. It made it even more difficult, which was really cool once you could kind of figure it out, and it also made people almost required to get the Princess Dagger, which I think took me 240 runs back in Classic.
Yes. But also another crazy thing, though, that you can do that. People figured out how to kill Princess by yourself. Yeah. A lot of fun learning that dance. I know I got that dagger, I think, in Sod, I believe. I did, yeah.
Did you?
Cool. I didn't get an arrow. Yeah, I got it in Sod, though. A lot of fun.
Rogue soloing Tiger Boss in ZG now in Sod. So.
Yeah,
I saw that. It's crazy.
But so I'm not personally that against Blizzard selling boosts and stuff if somebody wants to jump into the game and whatnot. I only think it's odd that Blizzard tries to mitigate boosts so much, because I think it comes down to a monetary value where it's they want to make money on selling boosts in some form or fashion, so they mitigate boosting in the game, but there's another do we believe that boosting impacts guilds or players learning the game?
That's a really good question.
I mean, I personally don't think so. I think it's overall a net positive, because I don't think there's really, of course there are some people that are coming to WoW for the first time, even in 2025, but it's really not a lot of people. SOD and WoW aren't exactly at their height that they once were. It's not a super popular game, at least comparatively speaking. And I think it's good for guilds too, because sometimes metas shift, especially if you're playing at a competitive level. I mean, like just a couple weeks ago, we had a need for a tank, and so Ben, who's been on the podcast before, he had to level a second feral druid guardian tank to fill that need for another tank, and then not 2 weeks later, the meta had shifted and we really needed a warlock tank. So you know what the guy did? He went and power leveled another warlock tank and got him geared up. So I mean, for me personally, like I kind of see it as a net positive. I can understand it from the new player aspect, that power leveling a character, you don't get all that time and practice and learning your toolkit as much. But it's not like you can't learn it without having played it the entire way. It's not that terribly difficult of a game. It's WoW is a pretty simple game, to play. Mastering it is a different story, but I mean, that's just kind of my thoughts and opinions on it.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said. Like, I had some characters. I had a druid basically boosted, and I was like, what are all these spells? There's a lot of, all the runes, all the spells. I was like, this is a lot to look at. I'm just gonna do whatever looks like renew because I know it brings like so. There's definitely creates a learning curve because like playing the character along the way, you like get your abilities are trickled in. You kind of learn. It is a thing, but Holy's totally right. Like Ben got his warlock up and ready in like no time versus like, oh, it's gonna take me like 2 weeks, like because like fucking the leveling takes so long. So I mean, I think overall it in reality, I don't think boosting really impacts the game negatively, in my opinion. Like comes down to the thing. Like if you want to level traditionally, no one's stopping you. Absolutely no one. You could argue that like the boosting culture removes players from the MMO experience.
Well, a little bit. I mean, definitely not early on. I don't think in an expansion or like a fresh classic for sure. But later on, sure, yeah. If you come in late, you're trying to find people to help you with quests or do dungeon stuff. It can be difficult. I tried that just recently on Night Slayer with the Mage. Couldn't find dungeon groups for hours. It's very difficult because I think the vast majority of the people were just getting boosted potentially.
Well, you're also coming in very late because I was going to point out. I think early on, I think boosting really is a detriment to the server's health. But at a certain point, like if you're coming in like extremely late, it's just like everyone's just nobody's out in the open world. No one, like hardly anybody's questing. Trying to find dungeons is really hard.
Unless you're trying to AoE grind in Hillsbrad and people are ganking you.
Oh well, yeah, well, true. Everyone knows where mages go. So
that's just like a note to everybody listening. It's like if you want to experience the game, follow when expansions are being released and actually start when they start. Like we got the full leveling experience in SOD from day one, and it was fun. It was cool. There's a lot of obviously things we didn't like, but there was a lot of things we did like, and having groups to play with and all that stuff. And then you're right. Once you get to end game, a majority of the player base aren't leveling characters, so it kind of dies down anyways. So why not just like get to end game,
Yep.
So
but maybe this is a hot take, but I actually really hate the very first day of a new server. Like I never got that experience back in vanilla vanilla as well, but also classic in 2019 because I didn't join until phase 2.5. It was like right after BGs came out. But doing it in SOD, I kind of hate it because like it's cool seeing all the people out in the world, but guess what? I was a night elf with Farside. We were out running trying to level together, and goddamn druids keep coming up and taking all our kills.
I should have picked a druid then.
Annoying. I know. I really messed up.
I mean, yeah, they're better than you. That's all.
But I'm also a little biased because I hate questing. I mean, that's why I always level a mage on a second account so I can boost my main account. because I'd rather just be the booster and boost myself and maybe some other people along the side, along with me. So I hate questing. So if I have any complications, I'm talking like there's one other person in the zone, like we're killing harpies or something, isn't too bad, like in the Barrens. But like if there's any choke points, I fall apart after like 5 minutes of waiting for something to spawn. I get frustrated. I'm not gonna lie.
That's understandable. I mean, and that kind of speaks to a lot of the inherent design flaws that definitely do exist in Classic WoW. You know, like the respawn timers are terrible. Spawn density isn't really thought out or fully realized in a way that would be commercially viable today. Classic WoW is not a perfect game, like not even close. And we know this. You know, Blizzard knows this. We talked about it a lot in the previous episode. If you haven't heard it, we talked kind of about Classic Plus and what we want to see it, and in that episode we addressed a lot of the inherent flaws that are in Classic that we don't want to see going forward in whatever new iteration of it looks like. So
yeah. But to move us along and kind of start wrapping us up, I'm going to do some speed round, couple of questions. So
that sounds fun.
Yeah. So the idea is this is one of the questions, and just give me a straightforward, very quick answer, each of you. Can boosting be balanced in the game?
As far as like according to or like against everything else in the game, like the way to level.
Do you believe? Yeah, and also like it kind of goes along the lines of like, are some of the nerfs appropriate, like to make boosting more difficult, more gatekeepy, stuff like that? Can it be a balanced addition to the game?
As it stands right now, absolutely not. It's like you either are boosting or you're hopefully enjoying the journey, because that's basically your two options. Either enjoy the journey, quest, and maybe find a dungeon group or whatever, or boost. In its current iteration, like in Classic or like Anniversary, absolutely not. If like in a Classic Plus, I think they could balance it as easy as if you have a level 60, maybe you get a little bit less EXP. Exactly. Or like a very high level, you get a little bit less EXP, maybe a little bit more like EXP for doing like quests out in the open world, or just like randomly killing mobs in the open world. Maybe that could help, but ultimately, I think in our current iteration, no, it's not balanced at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
that's what I was thinking. Like boosting is a byproduct of other inherent systems being bad or needing improvement in the game.
Yeah.
It's a solution that, I mean, if they were to fix everything else around the game that caused the boosting ecosystem, then now we're talking. But I don't know that you could really balance boosting. It's kind of defeats the purpose.
Okay. Second question. Would you play on a server that like boosting however they did, it was not possible?
No. I like having options.
Yeah, I agree.
What about you?
I think it. Yeah, I would not want to play on a server that you can't at least have the option to boost, even if it's a little bit slower than it currently is, and it's faster to do another way. It'd be cool to still have that option.
I think early on, I would say, yeah, that'd be cool, but later on, no, I'd hate it. Kind of on the same boat as them.
Yeah. All right. I mean, cool. All right. So you work for Blizzard, and you're in a meeting, and they're like, we believe that boosting hurts our game, like the experience overall. What would you do differently to handle boosting meta?
Oh, that's literally the meme of the guy getting thrown out of the window at the board meeting.
You could just make a fun game and enjoy the journey. Get him out of here.
But to answer your question seriously, like I think it just needs systemic change. Like, is for Classic WoW in particular, and I think this was proven in SOD, the game is just old at this point. We've all played it dozens of times and have gone through multiple characters. We know all the quests, we know all the routes. Like, it's a solved game, and it's not fun to play that portion of it anymore. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't want to go back to Uldaman and do that dungeon. Like, I don't want to go back to Shadowfang Keep. Where, werewolves are cool and stuff, but like, I want to go do the raids, because that's at least big and it's scale and it's epic. It's a systemic issue. Like, make the rest of the game less painful. Like that's the problem to solve. Boosting is just the temporary solution.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. And then
Come on, what else you got?
And then
do you believe that boosting as a meta improves the game?
I mean, for somebody like me who wants to level every single character, absolutely, I think it does. Because again, like Holy just said, we've done this 100 times at this point, so it's like I just want to get to the end. I just want to get to end game. I can do battlegrounds, world PvP, raiding, whatever. I think boosting definitely is good, but I think early on, like we discussed earlier, like with that first round, like maybe the first month or so, maybe like boosting should be like banned because it does. I do think it does hurt the ecosystem, and it stops being an MMO. Nobody's out in the open world.
I wouldn't take it back. Like what I did in 2019 in Classic, just the normal out there questing with randos and a buddy, doing dungeons, meeting people. That's how I met who I'm talking to today. I met through that social aspect of the game, leveling up, doing the same thing together. I wouldn't take it back. After a year into Classic, I would say hell yeah. Boosting is good meta. I want to play a different class. I want to do the raids. I want to parse. Yeah, I want to get them to 60 as soon as possible, get them geared up.
You'd say that like boosting is like in many forms it kind of respecting our time.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Do you think that if like boosting sorry, Holy, but do you think if boosting completely disappeared, it would like severely affect the game negatively?
It would definitely have a negative impact.
I think it'd be a slow burn. I think initially we wouldn't really think anything of it, and then when you go to level, maybe not your first all, especially like in the Classic Plus, where there's like new quests and hopefully new quests, hopefully new zones, areas, dungeons, whatever. I think the first couple times would be okay, but if like your guild is like, oh hey, like you said, like with Big Bad, he leveled a second Guardian Druid, and then it's like, oh surprise, surprise, actually now it's Warlock. Like, imagine him having to level a second, a third, or fourth alt. Like, ooh, like that's when it gets really rough. So yeah. I think it'd be a slow burn initially. I don't think we would really think anything of it, and then 2, 3, 5 months into it, we'd be like, oh, please bring it back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. I mean, we're a bunch of like, you could also consider us like common players in WoW. I think the majority of the population like doesn't give a shit about boosting. Like it's whatever.
You mean they don't like as far as like they don't really think about it?
It's part of the game, yeah.
I don't think it. I think the people that like that online that like complain about boosting or like how it affects the game it's a small faction that are just like those typical like blue forum echo chambers.
Yeah, classic Andy Redditors.
Yeah, Redditors. Yep.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't like reflect just the majority of players. I feel like we could pull in each one of our raiders right now and be like, "Do you care about boosting?" They'd be like, "No."
Like, I'm getting boosted right now. What are you talking about?
Yeah, nobody would care. So at the end of the day, this is my hot take. I think Blizzard should not patch any form of boosting. I think that they should just leave the instances alone. Let us do what we want inside of an instance. Let us play the game how we want to play it, because ultimately keeps my sub. If you take all these options away from us, I just stop playing and I just stop caring about the game.
Yep.
And the thing is, there's really no data. I mean, I don't think there's any data on like me not buying a boost, because I'm still going to probably buy a boost, for TBC. Same thing for Kata. I'll get a free boost.
I'll definitely buy a boost.
I think it's mute. I think this is like a conversation that Blizzard had that they didn't know what data they were looking at, and it didn't affect anything. They just affected the players. Just another decision that affected their players and nothing else.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But that's boosting, folks. Again, I appreciate it viewing, and Darth, thank you for coming onto the show and being a part of our little initiative here. And as always, guys, catch you in the next episode.
Thanks for having me, guys. Bye.
Yeah, thanks. Let me back. Bye.